Hello folks, Sunday, it's a Sunday, late June, lovely day, slightly windy. Here we are, back for another instalment of great fun aboard Bebop. Today we've got two things going on, because wifey's here. She's going to be grinding the starboard side below the waterline in preparation for me doing what I'm going to be doing on the port side below the waterline, which is making some gel coat based thick filling material to fill in the areas of bad gel coat that were ground out last year. I'll also be looking to see if I need to do any fiberglass patching. So let's go and have a look at that now. So here we are at the bow of the boat. Everything below this yellow line of tape that I've remembered to put on this time because we didn't do it last time. I'm going to grind back all the manky old anti-foul and any signs of blisters. There's some a bit further down. It doesn't seem to be as bad on this side as it did on the other, but wifey's going to be using our handy dandy angle grinder and flappy paddle disc to grind all that back, which is a horrible job, this is why she's wearing the full Tyvek today. So hopefully you'll get as far as you can along here, and on the other side I'll be filling and fairing the stuff that we did last season. So let's see what that's looking like. This is the side I'm going to be working on. As you can see, I've done a little bit of filling here already, just with polyester resin and some silica dust, silica powder, colloidal silica, is that what it's called? Something like that. But this basically needs to be covered with thickened gel coat just to do the last bit of fairing. It's going to need a fair amount of the stuff, and it is going to need a lot of finessing and caressing before it's actually done and ready to be primed and anti-fouled. That'll be the priming can go on whenever, because then we can just wash it off and do another layer of primer and put the anti-foul on. But the anti-foul itself will be probably the very last job that we do before we get the old girl back in the water. Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this sort of stuff before. So the first thing that needs to be done, we need to wash off the area that we're going to work with acetone. It'll just get a lot of the muck and especially oily impurities out of the way, because those are the sorts of things that stop a good chemical bond, and chemical bonds is what we're all about. So we just get a bit of the good old-fashioned blue roll. I won't glorify it by calling it tissue paper. I know early on in the pandemic, some people were forced to use it as a certain type of tissue paper. Let's hope those days never return for the sake of our tender parts. So, it's a nice generous loading of acetone on the tissue, and wipe it over, trying not to get acetone splashed all over the place. So that's much nicer. And initially I'm just going to work a relatively, oh that's dusty, work a relatively small area just to show what we need to get done. Now we don't really have a good level on this point. You know, all of this has been ground back, some of it back to the surface of the glass. I'm not massively worried about that. And then there was quiet. So we're just going to do this little section here. So I'm pretty confident that that's clean enough to work now. Do you know what? I'm going to have to actually wash this off with water because there's too much dust on it. So we will stop and we will sort that out. And then we'll wash it with acetone again because it's too dusty to work at the moment. But that's how it goes. We've done some cleaning, and we found that there were some stress fractures in the gel coat under the chine here, and also there was just a little bit more osmosis in some of these sections, so I've just washed that out. Well, wifey ground it back and I've washed it out. The areas that I've marked need fiberglass patching. These other squiggles are just where I need to knock back before I put the fresh gel coat on, but that particular job's for another day. But wife is still grinding on the other side. We're going to take a break for a cup of coffee in a moment, and then I will start mixing resin. We're going to wet the areas that need patching with accelerated resin, then get a layer of structured glass, then a layer of chopped sheet, then another layer of structured, then another layer of chopped sheet. Let that set up, then we'll sand it back, get a decent level, and then we'll be ready to gel coat along the thickened gel coat. There's plenty of areas that we can just do the gel coating on, but this is just areas that we missed on the first lot of grinding out, so we should be able to make some progress on that as soon as we've had more coffee. Hooray! So here's wifey grinding away at the bow. She's been going for about half an hour, so she's actually making really good progress. And we've got to go all the way along to the bow. Hopefully most of that will get done today. Wifey's always a very determined worker. So I think it's about time now that we had a bit of a break and a cup of coffee, because she's been working very hard. And now, but as you can see, I'll just wander into shot as well. The gel coat is not massively well laid up all over the boat, certainly below the waterline. So what wifey's been doing is grinding back, firstly because we need to get rid of the manky old anti-foul and the priming below the anti-foul because it's quite flaky and not very well applied, and also taking care of any voids that are in the gel coat, because there are a few, and voids lead to osmosis. Have you found any actual osmosis on this section yet? Well, there's a little bit there down to the glass and a little bit further there, but that's not so bad. I mean, the other side, as you saw earlier, is much worse. So making very good progress, my darling. And now it's time for a cup of coffee. Hooray! Hey folks, well, just my luck, it's the windiest day of the year and I can't find the windshield for the mic. But we are now at the point where it's time to mix a little bit of resin. So I'm going to do 300 ml at 1%, so that's going to be 300 ml of resin and 3 ml, using a handy dandy syringe, of catalyst. Now I've got the pot in this bowl just to keep the wind off of it, really. It is fantastically irritatingly windy. Wifey is just off buying some delicious lunch, so hopefully I can get this done before she comes back. I've pre-cut a few pieces of structured mat. Now I'm doing it at 1% because I want to have a bit of time to work the resin before it starts setting up. Last year when it was terribly hot I was doing it at half of 1%. Oh well, okay, well that's 315-ish mil. So, do you know what, actually I'm going to do 2 mil, so then I've got even more time to work the resin before we have to start worrying about it going rock hard. So let's do that at 2 mil. And squirt the sucker in, put the lid back on the mech, because you don't want flies in there, or grit or any other contaminating muck. And give it a good stir. All of the resin that we've used so far comes out this lovely light blue, which I'm quite pleased about. This is poly resin. We're using poly resin everywhere because that is what the boat is made of, and there are more or less continuous debates online about whether you can use epoxy on top of poly and poly on top of epoxy and yada yada yada. Now, personally, I don't see much of a point in taking a risk. So let's get ready to slap some of this onto the areas that we're going to be patching. So here's the first point that I want to patch. So we'll just load the brush up with some resin. Just be a little bit generous. We want some there and we want some there. And like I say, we've made it nice and light on catalyst so that we have time to work it. So there's another bit that we're going to patch just there, and I've got resin flying everywhere. I'm not the best at brushwork, it has to be said, and we just really, this is to key in. So let's be nice and generous, and when we start putting glass on, we'll be ever more generous, and then we will roll the excess out and brush it away, let it run away. Make sure you work it in nicely to any rougher areas. This is a big old dink here. So there we go. That's for this. Actually, there's a couple more over here. Let's just get those in. Lots of lovely stinky resin. A little bit there, a little bit there. Now we've just bought a load of fresh resin, and though one would never want to be too wasteful, I'm not going to be massively heartbroken if the pot proves to contain too much resin and we have to chuck a bit. I'd rather have more and not need it than need it and not have it. So there we go. Oh, there's one over there that I missed. Pretty typical. Just out of shot. So we'll get that done. A bit there, a little bit there. Good old polyester resin. And my wife has just returned. My wife. Right, so now I need to find my scissors. Scissors, where are you? Jesus, this is so typical of me. I'm always misplacing tools. There we are. Tools and materials always go missing when I'm using them. So now we're just going to cut a little section of structured out of roughly the right size, because you start small and then you get bigger and bigger as you're actually affecting the repair. So that's just going to scoosh on there, and we'll wet that in. Because we've already got resin on there, it's not going to go flying off, but we want to dab that on. Don't worry too much about any excess at this point. And that's covering all of the bared glass, and that's quite important. You want it to cover all of the bare glass at this point. And then as you do other little patches on top, they get bigger and bigger. And this one's going to be about the same size. It doesn't have to be inch perfect, but it just, you want to get a good coverage. Get good coverage on it. So there we go. Just like that. That's nice. Okay, so we're still patching away. Just matching the size of the patch to the size of the hole. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And don't forget, we will be getting bigger as we put successive layers on, so it doesn't matter if they're a little bit the wrong size, just a teeny bit the wrong size, we can live with. Wet it in. Make sure there's no bubbles lurking under there. You don't want to see any white glass at all. Nice and thick. Nice and thick. Good, good, good. Okay. So we will continue patching the rest of these and these two. And that little guy that I missed first time round. So just a little one there. And you want your hull to be as consistent and reliable as possible, because this is the thing that is between you and the bottom of the deep blue sea. If your hull lets you down, it's because you've let the hull down. In this context anyway. And obviously somebody else could plough straight into you at 50 knots. And it does happen. Yeah. So we will crack on. That's nice. Heavy load again. And the tackiness is staying at about the same level, which I'm quite glad about. So I will just carry on cutting and sticking and patching until all of these are done. Okay, so that's the first layer of structured glass down. I've got some CSM, and we're going to do the same thing with the CSM, and then one more layer of structured, and then we'll let it set up while I'm having lunch. Cheese sandwich. And then it should be ready to just let cure for a few hours. And if we have enough time today and time and conditions permit, I will knock it back. But while it's curing, there's other sections of the hull on this side that I can start applying the thickened gel coat on. So I'll get on with the CSM and I'll show you how it goes when it's done. Okay, so here we are. There's a few overhangs, there's a few little bits and bobs, but everything is covered with 3 layers of glass. Structured, chopped, structured, all nicely gelled in. So this is going to take a couple of hours to set up, so I'm going to take my lunch break now. As that's setting up, I will be making up some thickened gel coat to patch and fill other areas of the hull, and there's other bits and bobs that need a little bit of attention as well. So good day so far, along with all the progress that wifey has made, but now it's time to have a break. Hooray! End of day Sunday. We've done the patching, we've done the thickened gel coat all the way along here that you can see. It's very, very rough, but we'd rather have more and sand it back than have too little and have to go again. We probably will have to go again anyway, but I just wanted to get a good layer on. It's very difficult to work in when it's thickened. Wifey's cleaning up the extra wide palette knife. I don't know, what do you call those things?
No idea.
Palette knife, trowel.
Taping knife, apparently.
Apparently that's a taping knife. I don't know if this is what they're designed for, but this is what we've used it for. And it actually worked out pretty well. Nice long edge, so that we can get things relatively smooth. It's still very jiggly biggly because, you know, the surface we were working onto is a little bit uneven. Over the course of successive layers it will smooth out even more. So I'm going to come back tomorrow or Tuesday, knock that back and see how it sits in there. Hopefully it's going to be okay. I didn't get as much done on the other side as I wanted to. I actually had sweat getting in my eyes, which wasn't very pleasant. All masked up and goggles and ear defenders and all that sort of jazz. So it's tidy up time now. I will go home, I'll edit all this footage together along with the old stuff which you've already seen, so I don't know why I'm bothering to mention it. Have a lovely week and we'll see you all again very soon. Toodaloodles! Another lovely day at the boat today. The weather was great, albeit a little bit windy, not too hot, not too cold, and getting that work progressed on the hull was a real bonus for us. Now we know what we're going to do with the hull below the waterline, we can really crack on. We also know what we need to do with the aft bulkhead. That's a matter of ordering wood, taking out the cockpit floor, and yada 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 yada. That's going to come up in a future video. We really hope you're enjoying what we're doing. If you are, please click subscribe and the bell icon so you know when we post a new video. And you can also join us at Patreon at www.patreon.com/Boat Project Fury. Every little bit of support we can get really does help us keep going. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you very soon.